Hey everyone, Eric Chabot here. I am the director of two apologetic ministries, one at The Ohio State University and one at Columbus State Community College, and I blog at thinkapologetics.com. Some of you have seen our posts and seen some of our YouTube clips. I also work as an outreach worker for CGF Ministries. So in this clip I want to talk a little bit about the resurrection of Jesus and some of my favorite books that I have read on the topic. I think that a lot of us are probably spending a lot of time at home. Maybe we're doing a little more reading and studying. Of course, some of us are working from home, doing a lot of online stuff like myself. But I just want to mention some of the books that I've really enjoyed over the years on such an important topic like the resurrection of Jesus. So this first one I have is called The Resurrection of the Messiah by British scholar Christopher Bryan. This book is a combination of theology, biblical studies, and a little bit of apologetics, but it's an interesting book. I would say that he specializes more in biblical studies, as I've said, but there is some excellent information in this book. I don't know a lot of people have read this book as far as the circles I travel in, but this may be one for your collection. The Resurrection of the Messiah by Christopher Bryan. Second book I have is actually by a Jewish rabbi. It's called The Death of Death, Resurrection, Immortality, and Jewish Thought by Neil Gilman. He is a Jewish scholar and Jewish rabbi, not a believer in Jesus, but he has some excellent information in here about the relationship between resurrection and Judaism. After all, our faith was birthed in the Jewish world, and Jesus was Jewish, and Paul was Jewish, and the apostles were Jewish, and as far as we know, Jesus is not coming back to California. So this is a really good book if you just want to get a little more of a Jewish take on the background of resurrection thought. Another book that's come out more recently is this book by Michael Brown. Michael Brown is a Messianic Jewish scholar who's published that amazing series, Answering Jewish Objections to Jesus, and I know a lot of you follow Michael online. He's always got something out there every day. He dips into a lot of different areas in his ministry, but this is one that just came out over the last few months. It's on the resurrection. He writes this from a Jewish angle, which is really needed today. We need a lot more books on the resurrection, how it relates to Judaism and Jewish thought. I think that some of the Christian apologetic books, while they're very good, sometimes they miss the context in some areas. And so I just finished this book. It's really good. It's got some apologetics in it and some other things you probably never thought about. So I really encourage you to get this by Dr. Michael Brown. Fourth book is Dr. Michael Lacona's massive dissertation, doctoral dissertation, The Resurrection of Jesus. And this book is only 700 and, let's see here, 18 pages by the time you add it all together. So this was Mike Lacona's doctoral dissertation, as I said, and this is just an awesome book. It covers so many things like philosophy of history, what we can know about the resurrection from the lens of just doing history, issues of historical knowledge. Dr. Lacona does us all a favor by writing this. This is just a fantastic book. Very long, but well worth the read. And if you really want to know how to approach the resurrection from an historical methodological perspective, this is the book to get. And so I really, really enjoyed this. Actually, I'm going to go back and read it a second time, but this is definitely at the top of my list. Another book that's pretty well known is N.T. Wright's book, The Resurrection of the Son of God. Look, I have the old cover, because I got this for my birthday when it came out. I think how long ago that was. That was like 2003 or something. But anyway, this was one of those books in N.T. Wright's volume on Christian origins and the question of God. This is volume 3, so this definitely belongs in everyone's collection of books on the resurrection. And so a lot of theology, a lot of history, some apologetics, just the background, the depth of stuff that he covers in here is just truly amazing. And so definitely need this in your collection. This is a very thick book, very long book. That one's 808 pages, so he beat Dr. Lacona's book. But anyway, you got to have this in your resurrection collection. Another book that's a lot shorter, written by a philosopher, is called Risen Indeed, Making Sense of the Resurrection by Stephen Davis. I wouldn't consider Stephen Davis to be like a biblical scholar. He's more of a philosopher, but he covers some really interesting things in this book, a lot of different angles on things such as the mind-body problem and other things. So I really encourage you to get this book. It's a short read. It's about 218 pages. I read this a ways back, but that definitely belongs in your collection. Another book is called Jesus' Resurrection, Fact or Figment. This is a debate with William Lane Craig and another atheist. Who else is William Lane Craig need to debate? He's debated everybody, but they came out with the book format of this debate. But and it's got some critiques of the debate at the end by other scholars. But this has some excellent material in it. Of course, you've got chapters written by skeptics, you've got chapters written by Christian theists, and so you get a nice combination to see both sides of the argument. So this definitely belongs in your collection. And then we have this book called But God Raised Him from the Dead by Kevin Anderson, The Theology of Jesus' Resurrection, Luke Acts. This is really more of strictly a theological book, but it's got some really good information on Second Temple Judaism and what Jewish thought was like in that period towards the resurrection, other issues. And so I read this last year. This is an excellent book. It's fairly long. It's about, it's about 350 pages, but one of those books that I really enjoyed and did nourish my soul. And then finally, we have the most important book of all in all these books, and that is my book called The Resurrection of the Jewish Messiah. Okay, so that's my little short resurrection book. It's only I can even remember now, about 116 pages, and I felt that we, as I said, we are not getting the Jewish context and some of the issues in the background of the resurrection. I wanted to combine those things together. So this has some history. I go over the New Testament documents. I also talk about, of course, about some possible alternatives to the resurrection, whether Jesus rose from the dead, and some of the possible naturalistic explanations. So that is on Kindle for a very cheap price. So those are some of my picks on the resurrection, and I really hope you dig deeper into that topic, because the resurrection is so important. That's what really gives us hope at a time like this, to know that God has intervened in history and He is working in this situation, even though we can't see it right now. And of course, God's presence comes to us in the person of Jesus, and He's with us all the time. He never leaves us or forsakes us. So I hope that you enjoy those if you get them, and may you grow stronger in your faith, and may the resurrection be something that you look forward to, and also something that you can share with others. Have a good day.